Hello everyone, Shannon Flummerfeld here for Flip Schools. Welcome to the Sustaining Improvement series. This is one in a series of 5 videos that will introduce central office administrators to a very simple to use tool called the 5S. The 5S is a tool that helps you to garner best practice in your school districts and then to be able to get to a point of sustaining that improvement and maintaining it. In this particular video, I'm going to show you the first 2 steps of a 5S example, and there are other videos in the series that will take you through the complete cycle. When you enter into a flipped culture and you're flipping instruction, there are so many points of improvement that happen in your school district. And so it's nice to be able to have a way to pull these all together and make sure that there's some coherence in terms of best practice. And not only that, but that there is a connection of best practice to mission and vision for your district and even strategic planning. So this 5S tool can help you to work collectively with key stakeholders in your district to have this happen. So actually, what is a 5S? It's a visual management tool, and it's really nice to be able to use with collective engagements when you're trying to work with fellow administrators or faculty in your district. And what it'll help you to do is to develop and maintain improvement based on best practice. And this will happen through 5 required steps. There's a sorting step, a setting step, shining, standardizing, and sustaining steps. In this example today, I'm going to share with you sorting, setting, shining, and standardizing and sustaining improvement in a reading instruction example. We're just going to focus on the first 2 steps, sorting and setting. So let's say that in your district, you're taking a look at your reading scores and you're concerned about reading achievement. You want to try to improve reading achievement in your district. So you're going to start off with this first step called sorting. And in sorting, what you do is you try to ascertain what all is going on in terms of reading instruction. What are the practices and the ideas that are prevalent in your district? And you sort of get those out on the table. And in this case, what we're trying to do is focus on the practices that are very helpful to reading instruction. There are a lot of different ways you can take on this first step of sorting, but in this case, we're going to focus on things that are happening in a district that are working pretty well. And so we have a list of 9 here that came out of, some collective conversations, and some of these are based on research, some of these are based on practices that are happening in the district right now, but maybe they're just not consistently being used, and there's just not a point of being able to sustain anything here with reading instruction. So this list of 9 lays out things like, number 1, making sure there's a good reading curriculum. That number 2, that there's good assessment and intervention with your RTI programs. Number 3, making sure that the right instructional technology is available. Number 4, making sure that there is a good shared authentic pedagogy in place with faculty so that reading can actually be not just an assignment that students do, but they understand what it means to actually use reading in their lives. Formative testing strategies, number 5. The need for faculty and parental teamwork, number 6. And then we have number 7, where there's an interest in making sure there's the correct amount of differentiation and personalization based on student mastery and reading levels and so on. And then number 8, kind of an interesting thing, that, just a love of reading, a passion for reading, that there's an interpersonal, social, and emotional learning going on in regard to reading instruction. And then the last one would be the quality of reading instruction. This relates more to the quality of the teaching that happens and the instruction that happens in the classroom. So let's say that now you've got this figured out. You've had a discussion and you've engaged in this first step here of sorting out what matters in reading instruction, and you come up with a list of 9 items. And in your district, there may be a very different list if you were focusing on reading or this may be relevant to you. Again, this is what is going to come out of your work and your discussions here in your district. So once you sort, then now you begin to talk about what's in this sorting list. And this will move you into step number 2, which is setting things into categories. And so as the list is created, you begin to figure out what the status of these things are and how important they really are, or how well in hand they might be for the district. So for instance, we've selected in this particular district item number 2, where we know that the RTI process is not working well. And so this one is going to need critical attention here in the district right away. And that strategies 1, 3, and 5 are actually in pretty good shape. So we have a good curriculum, we've got the right instructional technology, and we actually have good formative testing strategies in place. Then the remaining ones are still going to need some attention. So as you talk about this first step and just creating this list of what are we talking about here in terms of what matters in reading instruction, and then what are the status of those, that actually sets up the second step, which is setting. Setting, we actually create categories, and these categories will help then to define how work is going to be done. In this case, the categories ended up being a very high priority, needs immediate attention, moderate priority, and doesn't need improvement right now. So that's fine to go ahead and do that. There may be all kinds of ways that you would set up categories, maybe by grade level or building level or subject area or functional areas that are happening, or maybe general ed, special ed, or whatever makes sense. But the idea is that you've got your list sorted out. Now you set it into categories. So obviously we know that the ones that don't need improvement, strategies 1, 3, and 5, we're just going to sort of set those aside, what we call red tagging. And that means that they're okay. So we can just set them aside and we don't have to really think about them that much. What it does is, this setting step, is that it helps you to bring forward what needs attention, or what the status is, the hierarchy of needs, and so on in a district. And so now we see that, all right, now we've got item number 2 we know is really the one that needs immediate attention, and 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are also going to need improvement. So step 2 is very, very much tied to step 1. You can just see how that would naturally flow. The value in the 5S tool is that it does help you to actually bring out a very distinct protocol for working through these issues. And so I've demonstrated here today the sorting and setting steps 1 and 2. Hopefully you found them just to be extremely simple and very related to what you're already doing in your district. The value in the 5S is that when you actually establish this protocol, something that people can follow along, and it's also easier for you as you lead through improvement processes. There will be other videos in this series that will describe to you the other 3 steps: shining, standardizing, and sustaining. So I hope you'll listen, and if you need more information, go to the Flip Institute website at theflipinstitute.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for listening.